It's a gruesome way to die. It's time to put some dirt in the Empire's eye. Yes. Bills must be paid, dragons must be slayed. Money, money, are you there? Lurking in chat somewhere.
It seems the engineers have matters well in hand. Should the barrier work as we intend, Doma will be free to reinforce her allies in Alamigo without fear of weakening her own borders. Honored friends, the time has come to put your hard work to the test. Start the generator.
Put the barrier in the sky. Make the Empire's ships fall and watch them die. Thus they will meet their fate. Help for them will be too late.
Impossible! There's no way you could have survived!
Do you remember
No, this
how it
is Final
unfolded?
Fantasy XIV. Everyone survives that shouldn't have survived. She
How I was
forgets.
deceived by La Hebrea? And what should we find in each and every incubator? But a young Emperor Solus.
What?
All of which prompts the question, were the Ascians responsible for these abominations? Or was it the will of the Emperor?
How's that possible, though?
I must know which hand guides the Empire. Though I have given up my rank, I am yet a son of Garlemald, and I will fight for the future of my homeland.
I mean, this would help to explain how everyone who dies keeps coming back.
It is time.
Oh boy, this could be very dangerous if they deploy the gas in here. I'm not liking the thought of this.
Esteemed representatives of the Eorzean Alliance, on behalf of the Garlean Empire, I thank you for inviting me here today. As this parley was convened at your request, I invite you to speak first.
As you should, yes.
Very well, Your Radiance. I, Nanimo Ulnamo, 17th in the line of Ul, should be pleased to oblige you. As recent events in Alamigo and Doma have made plain, the subjugation and exploitation of neighboring nations is not a sustainable policy. Should this day end in war, you may very well defeat us, but you will never extinguish the people's desire for freedom. Though it may not be in our lifetime, there will be another revolution, another war, and the cycle will continue. Doma has entered into a concord with the nations of Eorzea, a partnership wherein we recognize one another as equals. Garlemald could be afforded similar treatment. You need only set aside your ambitions and join us in paving a path towards peace.
You will not win me over with sophistry, Your Grace. As you know only too
Gosh,
well,
darn it.
this alliance lacks the strength to keep the peace within its own borders. Even now, your struggles with the Beastmen continue unabated. Divided, you sow this fertile soil with the seeds of your differences and reap naught but discord and chaos for your trouble. Eorzea must be united under one leader, one purpose. I would offer you both and bring an end to your strife.
Yes, it's
With
much
all
better
due
if you
respect,
have no
Your
freedom,
Radiance,
right?
the only thing that you offered the people of
Everything will
Alamigo
become
was
much
fear
better
and
once we just take
hopelessness.
away your freedom.
The citizens of Dorma can also attest to the meager arms of imperial rule. There is no purpose.
What?
to
You
be
don't
found
like
in
having
life
your
of
freedom
oppression.
stripped away from you?
Each day more uncertain than the
Unacceptable.
last.
How could this
Our
be?
people are willing to die for their freedom. A great many already have, and countless more will, if we don't put an end to this
Accept
madness
my
here and
offer
now.
of socialism. You will own nothing and be happy about it.
We brought order and stability to your lives. This madness
We
and
will
bloodshed is
end
of your
the
own
threat
making.
of
You broke the
boiling
peace,
planets.
not Garlemald.
Peace. Order. You kill our peoples, despoil our lands, take everything that is ours. And what? You
We
expect
will
us to
save
like the
you.
book that grinds our faces into the dirt?
I expect you to weigh the cost.
We have nothing but
To
your best
recognize that
interests
countless
in mind.
lives have been lost on both sides in pursuit of a
trust
greater
us.
good, and to not squander all we have achieved in a fit of petulance.
Give up your firearms.
Your Radiance.
It will
I
protect
fear
you
I
better
can
this
personally
way.
attest to the dangers of pursuing one's vision with such righteous fervor. For 1,000 years, the Holy See of Ishgard waged war with dragons. A 1,000 years of sacrifice, of sorrow and hate, in which we bathed in the blood of friend and foe alike. Had it gone on any longer, we may well have drowned. Yet we have chosen to raise ourselves out of this bloody spiral, and have since made peace with our former enemy.
So I understand. No doubt the dragons were more receptive to your overtures in the wake of their leader's demise. You speak of peace, yet use war to achieve it. Your father would not have bothered to obscure his intent with honeyed words. He
We will
understood
ban
that
your
strength
weapons
is
for
all
your
that
own
matters in the
safety.
end.
Definitely not so we can take over.
Without his clarity of vision, I can but wonder what will become of Ishgard and her people. There was a time when Garlemald too lacked a leader of conviction. Weak and unable to wield magic, we were at the mercy of the strong from whom we sought refuge in the bitter cold of the north. Were it not for the discovery of ceruleum and the subsequent development of magitech, we might never have gained the power to take back that which was rightfully ours.
It belongs to us anyway. Your tax dollars.
You speak as if your people were the first to have been driven from their homes. Limsa Lominsa was built by wayward souls in search of a place to call their own. On the shores of Vilbrand we found it, and from those humble beginnings did we grow and flourish. And all without robbing our neighbors of their liberty.
So saith the pirate. Am I to believe that you simply asked the kobolds to yield up their lands and that they were happy to oblige you? That you did not drive them out like rats in the hold of one of the many ships seized by your privateers? I will concede that after centuries of exile, reclamation may be mistaken for invasion. Nevertheless, it is not. And those who till stolen soil have no right to object when cast out in turn.
Your uncompromising nature rivals that of the Ixal. They too lament circumstances which they themselves perpetuate. Were they but to embrace peace, we would welcome them with open arms. Indeed, some few have done just that,
lands.
and now
we will
receive
steal
of the
them
12's
from
Woods
you.
bounty.
Thus, 2 wrongs will make a right.
Would that your people might learn from their example.
You dare compare us to the Birdmen? You who thought to invoke the 12 and threaten all of creation?
I came here in the hope of finding some speck of common ground, but I see now these discussions will accomplish nothing.
Oh boy, is he about to unleash the gas?
Despite what you people may believe, I am not wont to choose the sword over the olive branch. 'Tis but a pity men are loath to accept one without first being shown the other.
Wait! I beg you. This meeting was supposed to be a chance to find a way forward together, not to bemoan the missteps which brought us here. Please, if you truly consider violence a last resort, there must be a way we can come to an agreement.
We seek not peace. We seek domination.
As Mistress Alize says, we did not come here to bicker over the past, but to discuss how we might strive towards a brighter future. Emperor Varys, may I suggest a short recess, that all present might compose themselves prior to beginning anew?
There is no peace to be found here.
Very well. I pray this intermission will suffice to move these talks in a more constructive direction. Now then, who would have the floor?
Before
You
we
can
resume,
have the floor
I
permanently.
wish to offer you an apology.
You can
After
be
you
the floor
graciously
tank.
accepted our invitation to discuss an armistice, we have done naught but rebuke you at every opportunity. I believe I speak for all of us when I say we are deeply sorry for our discourtesy.
We are? I mean, very sorry. So sorry.
I'll admit your familiarity with our affairs surprised me, and served to remind me how little I know of yours.
I think all here can understand the desire to reclaim one's homeland. But why expand further? That is my question.
If I may, the answer can be found in the imperial doctrine they took great pains to impart to my people. Recognizing the threat icons posed to the world, Solus Zos Galvus decreed that they were to be eradicated. To this end, he began a campaign to unite all lands under the Garlean banner. Or so we were taught. Yet the Emperor only reached the burn, the Baron said to have been laid waste by icons, after conquering all the lands that lay between. What is more, I am quite certain the practice of summoning was not nearly so widespread in the days before the Empire's founding.
Ooh.
How can this be?
When you put it like that, it all starts to sound like an excuse, doesn't it? But to distract from what? Why are you really waging this war?
To take away your homelands. To take away your freedom. We only want unlimited
Finally,
power.
you ask the right question. I can but hope you heed mine answer and at last accept the righteousness of our cause. My goal is this: to return the world to the way it once was, the way it was always meant to be.
How is that?
In doing so, mankind will be made whole once more.
Pretty
No
words that
longer
mean
will we
nothing.
suffer from the dissension born of our differences. There will be but one race, a perfect race, as we were when time began.
I don't know if that's
What
true.
in Rorga's name are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
I am talking about the origins of this star, of the source and its 13 reflections. At the instant of the great sundering, 'twas not only the world that was shattered, but mankind itself. Thus were we divided into myriad races, each with its own unique imperfections. That is why man looks upon his neighbor and feels fear and hatred, why he
Really?
wages war, why he kills his brother. You all in your own way have proven as much today. The peace you seek is but a fleeting solution to a fundamental problem. One which calls
I didn't
for
know
more
Galvus
drastic
was such
measures.
a racist, like literally.
To bring about everlasting peace, our worlds must be rejoined. That is the goal the Empire would see realized. The glorious future unto which we shall one day shepherd mankind.
I don't know. I don't usually look at someone who's different than me and go, "Oh, I hate you because you're different."
Rejoining of worlds.
I have heard this tale of the source and its reflections before.
Are these not the self-same desires as the Ascians?
Maybe that's just me, though.
Emperor Varys, do not trust in their words. They will lead you to your doom. My father thought to use them, but in the end he succumbed to their temptations. He embraced summoning like so many other pawns before him. Do not tell us you mean to do the same.
Something
To
tickles
be a
his fancy.
pawn, free from the burden of choice, would be a blessing. But I forswore that privilege the day I learned that the Gallian Empire was built by the hand of an Ascian.
Ascian scum.
What?
He's really a racist, like.
Yes. My grandsire, the former emperor, is of their number. And who better to build an empire capable of bringing about the calamitous change we desire? Would you condemn me for this alliance, for bowing to the will of these shadowy masters, when the prize is true and lasting peace? I come not to conquer, but to liberate. To free man from the prison of divergence. Imagine a world united. One perfect race beneath a single standard. An army before whose might these servants of darkness and light would fly as leaves in a storm, never again to meddle in man's affairs.
I don't know that everyone feels
would be
the
the
same
masters
way
of our own fate.
I don't think everyone's quite as much as a racist as you, Galvis.
Not as subjects of Garlemald, but of a new nation. And together we shall win freedom for ourselves and generations yet unborn.
No thanks.
You want to trigger another half-dozen calamities? You can't be serious!
Have you forgotten how many died? There will be no one left.
It is
Do you truly imagine we would aid you in your bloodletting?
It is unthinkable! Unconscionable!
Our sacrifice will be for the greater good.
And what is the alternative? To be as cattle waiting for slaughter?
You can
I would have us work together that we might take fate into our own hands.
You can trust me, Galvis the racist.
Into your hands, perhaps. But what of the other worlds, your radiance? With every calamity, you obliterate a star and every soul that dwells on it.
To the Ascians, we are all but tiny, momentary specks within an indifferent universe. We cannot hope to oppose them until we have been made whole once more.
So in order to overthrow them, you have to join them? How does that make sense?
Are these truly the words of Garlemald's ruler?
Makes sense to me.
The flaws and foibles which you so abhor are what make us who we are. Every nation, even yours, Emperor Varys, is made whole through the combination of these imperfections, the strengths of one compensating for the weaknesses of another. While it is true that man succumbs all too often to anger and avarice,
everyone knows if you wish to overthrow someone, you gotta hold hands with them in alliance, right?
Fostering community and cooperation. That the protector of an empire should not only reject these fundamental truths, but seek to change them at so dear a cost to life is indefensible. Such a man is not fit to govern.
Yeah, we already knew that, though. It was obvious.
And you, warrior of light, would you refuse me as well?
Yeah.
It would seem the Alliance is of one mind on this matter.
I mean, I would think everyone on the planet would be. Not everyone on the planet is as much of a racist as this guy.
You Eorzeans never cease to disappoint me. Though I suppose I have only myself to blame for expecting more from savages. This discussion is at an end. I bid you make ready for our next meeting. It will not be at the negotiating table.
So please, don't you dare leave me alone.
Oh. Ooh. What does that mean, Alize?
No matter what happens, we have to survive
Ooh.
together.
Ooh. Alize making moves.
Transition to Shadowbringers. Please like and subscribe. I'm releasing guides for every story dungeon and trial in the game, so you always know what's coming. Let's get started. The first boss here is Mark 3B Magitech Colossus. The tank needs to face him away from the group because he has an ability called Jarring Blow, which sweeps in a wide arc and only the tank needs to be hit by it. Wild Fire Beam will put spread apart markers on every player, just separate to avoid overlapping damage. Magitech Slash is one where you will see an orange conal marker and spinning arrows around the boss at the same time. This just means he will slam the ground repeatedly while spinning in that direction.
Okay.
It will leave behind fiery stuff as he goes, so just make sure you stay ahead of him, moving in the direction indicated by the arrows.
It's not too bad.
With Exhaust, he will aim a line AoE strike at a random player. Just step aside to avoid the damage.
That's just obvious.
Cerulean Vent will deal unavoidable damage to all players, just heal through it. Magitech
Why
Ray
that needs to be
will put
said.
a stack marker on one player, just stack up to share the damage.
Yeah, everyone should
A little
know how
later,
to do
you will
that.
come to the second boss, Prometheus. He typically opens with Nitro Spin, which deals unavoidable damage to all players. Just heal through it. The first time he casts
that
this,
needs to be
it will add a
mentioned.
ring of fire around the perimeter. A little later, you'll see Prometheus digging into the ground.
I mean, like, why mention all this stuff, though? Like, yeah, he spins and it deals unavoidable damage, so heal through it. Like, that doesn't need to be said. Like, if everyone takes damage, obviously you heal. Like, why do you need to mention that there's a fire barrier? Obviously you don't stand into it in it. Like, all of this is, like, brain dead common sense.
Going off screen. Watch for the glowing wall. He will burst out of it and deal heavy damage in a line with no marker other than the glowing wall.
Okay. Is there a way to tell where he bursts out? Like, this is all, like, this is the first part where it's actually important to know.
Damage in a line with no marker other than
Okay, so it's like he's glowing right there. Okay.
the glowing wall. Unbreakable Sermit Drill is a simple tank buster. Just use mitigation and healing as needed. Needle Gun is a very
Like, most of this stuff doesn't need to be said at all. Like, you could honestly condense this entire guide down to about 30 seconds. Because, like, most of this stuff in here doesn't need to be said if you have one brain cell.
simple tank buster. Just use mitigation and healing as needed.
It's a simple tank buster that doesn't look like it has any animation, doesn't look like it's avoidable in
Unbreakable
any way.
Sermit Drill is a simple
Okay, I guess it has this thing.
tank buster. Just use mitigation and healing as needed.
It doesn't look all that bad. Like, yeah, you
Needle
don't even
Gun
need to.
is a very large conal AoE.
Like, why do you need to mention a conal AoE? Obviously, when he's casting it, you will see it on the floor. If you stand in a conal AoE, you're just dumb.
Just step
Like,
aside.
This doesn't need to be said at all. You can completely skip this. Just completely leave it out of there. Person will see conal AoE, they will get out of the way. If they have one brain cell that's functioning and operational.
To avoid the damage. This is followed
Like, I see AoE, I'm just gonna stand here. Who does that?
by Oil Shower, which is the inverse AoE, hitting everything except the cone in front of the boss. Just move in front of the boss momentarily to avoid the damage. Freezing Missile will put 4 proximity markers around the perimeter. Just stand in the middle to minimize the damage. This is often simultaneous with the glowing wall effect mentioned earlier, so move out of the center as soon as the freezing missiles strike to avoid the line damage.
Okay.
The final boss here is Anya and Julia Quo-Soranus. As soon as the tank hits one of them, the other will move just outside the arena and cast her spells from there. You will fight the remaining sister until her health drops to 0, then they switch places and you fight the other one. Anya has a simple tank
even
buster
need to be
called
said at
Delta
all?
Trance,
Okay.
and Julia has one called Innocence. Just use mitigation and healing as needed. Artificial Plasma can be used by either sister, and it deals unavoidable damage to all players. Just heal through it.
Yeah, I
Julia
definitely
will
needed
cast
to know that.
Immense Airstrike, which puts ceruleum tanks all over the place. Sometimes she will roundhouse kick them, pushing the ones in the center outward, but this is not guaranteed. Shortly after, she will strike one of them with Airsbane, which will cause it to have a large circular marker and then explode. Adjacent tanks will then have markers of their own, and by chain reaction,
this is useful
they will all
information.
explode eventually.
Finally.
Just stay out of the markers and pay attention to what tanks will be detonating next at each moment. She will also sometimes cast Airsbane at a random player, which deals unavoidable damage to that player. Just heal through it. Julia will cast Crossbones whether she's in or outside of the arena. She'll draw an X, and from it will shoot out a powerful line.
Like, the only reason that I watch these at all is because I feel like, okay, there might be something that I need to know about ahead of time that I'll need to watch out for. Sometimes there is. But, like, honestly, if you need to watch this guide, just stop playing the game. Honestly, like, all of these mechanics are just stupidly, blatantly obvious. Like, I don't... Man, if you need this guide, you need a lot of help.
An AoE with a
not just with this game. Just in general.
From inside the arena, she may cast the Order, which combines these crossbones with circular AoEs under every player. Just
no, I couldn't see that.
Out of the AoEs and watch for the floating X's.
Basically, this guide is like explaining to you, you have eyeballs. This is how you use your eyeballs and your brain together. This might be a shock to you, but you've had these eyeballs for your entire life, and you've had a few brain cells your entire life. Now here is how you use these eyeballs and brain cells together. It's like, oh my goodness. Why are you even saying any of this? My goodness. Who needs this guide? Honestly, like, this is... Oh my goodness.
Anya will cast Order
to I'm gonna cry. Oh, this is painful.
With AoE markers, while line AoEs follow the players.
Oh, this
Julia
is
does
painful.
More crossbones. Just note that you can't avoid the line AoEs, and they will knock you back. So just position yourself.
No, we couldn't avoid that? No way. I totally couldn't tell that they were following my character. And we can't just stand in these orange circles? No. Oh my goodness, why? Why make this guide? Why?
Yourself to where you aren't knocked into one of the other AoEs. Anya will also cast Angry Salamander, where she locks herself facing one direction, then does a line AoE strike with no marker directly in front of her. Just know this is coming when you see it on her cast bar, and make...
Okay. This is like the first thing that's actually useful. Like one of the first things that you said that's actually useful. That is, if it actually does enough damage to kill somebody. If this doesn't actually deal enough damage to kill somebody, then this is also useless information.
Make sure you aren't in front of her.
I want to see the casting bar thing for this. See where it shows it. He said that there was some kind of casting bar.
Anya will also cast Angry Salamander, where she locks...
Angry Salamander, where... Let me see.
herself facing one direction, then does a line...
How do we know that it's called Angry Salamander, though?
Line AoE strike with no marker directly in front of her. Just know this is coming when you see it on her cast bar, and make sure you aren't in...
Okay, it might be stupid, but where's her cast bar? Like...
Then does a line AoE strike with no marker directly in front of her. Just know this is coming when you see it on her cast bar, and...
What?
Position yourself to where you aren't knocked into one of the other...
Okay.
Other AoEs. Anya will also cast Angry Salamander.
Okay, I see it. That's very short.
where she locks herself facing one direction, then does a line AoE strike with no marker directly in front of her. Just know this is coming when you see it on her cast bar, and make sure you aren't in front of her.
That's going to be really hard to avoid, honestly. That's going to be really hard to notice, like in the heat of battle when you're trying to pay attention to your skill rotations. Like, that's something that's very easy to
Anya will
miss.
jump to a random place.
So that's like the first thing that he's actually said that's useful. Like,
and cast a marked circular AoE. Just
who stands in marked circular AoEs? Like,
step out of it.
The entire thing here could literally be condensed to about 30 seconds of useful information. Like, I don't need to be told how to use my eyeballs and how to use my brain. I can do that myself.
When you defeat one sister, before they swap places,
who needs
cast
this guide,
crosshatch,
honestly?
And you'll have to look carefully for little white lines.
Like, there's been a
marking
few
their path
things.
to avoid.
There's been a few things that are actually useful, but most of this is just
avoid the damage.
Oh, we don't want to stand in those lines? I would have never guessed.
When you defeat the second sister, they will do this again. Then they will meet in the middle and start casting Imperial Authority.
Okay.
You have to defeat them before they finish the cast, or it's a wipe. And that's it for the Gimlet Dark. Good luck, and thanks for watching.
I think most of the good luck in there comes down to the very last bit there where we're having to rely on our DPS to do their jobs. This was like the first thing that was actually useful. Yeah, okay. So let's see if I can... Oh! Somebody messed it up. Alright, can we revive him soon? Or no, that's our healer, actually. Our healer's being a floor tank. This gives me so much confidence in our team right now. It's crazy. I have so much confidence in this team now that our healer is a floor tank. I guess he's respawning now.